It has long since come to my attention that people of accomplishment rarely sit back and let things happen to them. That they went out and happened to things. Today, we look at 4 such men of accomplishment, including the author of that quote. This is History Hound, Terrapin Rennaisance. The Italian Renaissance. With the possible exception of the era of Socrates and Plato, no time featured greater advancement of art, science, philosophy, and culture than the Italian Renaissance. Bear with me, art history is not my strong suit, but off the top of my head I can think of 4 influential artists of this period, and we're going to learn about each one of them. Now, I'm going to give you a fair warning. This very nature of this video forces me to restrain myself from making the same joke over and over again. I refuse to do it. My video editor, however, makes no such promise. So, let's get started. You're really doing this, aren't you? We're gonna start our study of these 4 greats with Donatello. You can tell because the purple. Anyway, Donatello was a prominent sculptor for a decent chunk of the 1400s who spent a lot of his time in Florence. You will see that there are a couple of common threads with most of the prominent artists, the first of which is Florence. If you want to be recognized in the world of art and sculpture, you needed to be in Florence. Donatello started his career as a goldsmith and gained experience assisting Lorenzo Ghiberti in sculpting the series of sculptures for the north door of the Florence Baptistry before striking out on his own and sculpting a colossal statue of St. John the Evangelist. This sculpture was intensely well received and launched him into a world of celebrity. This particular sculpture marked a significant time in the world of sculpture. It was clear that the world of art was ready to move on from Gothic mannerism and dive headfirst into naturalism, signifying something. Again, art history is not a strong suit for me. This celebrity would get him a plethora of commissions before landing a commission from the other common thread in the Florence ring of the Italian Renaissance, the Medicis. This family was the definition of influence. They controlled the government, the banks, and even had 4 members of the family serve as pope. So this was a big get for Donatello. This particular commission would be his most famous statue, his bronze statue of David, which many point to as being the first major work of the Renaissance sculpture. Now this is the most famous statue of King David, who some say knew a secret chord that he played to please the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? That statue was created by Michelangelo, whose full name is... Let's just go with Michelangelo. Was first and foremost a sculptor, architect, and painter who is known for sculpting this, and he painted this, all of it. Oh, and even designed this. He spent the early days of his career under the membership of, oh hey, it's Medicis, again. He spent some time working in a morgue where he studied human anatomy. His sculpture, the Pieta, is considered by many to be one of the greatest sculptors ever created, which he did from a single massive block of stone. His statue of David, though, is likely his most famous statue and launched his career. The detail in his sculptures has never been replicated, most think due to his early morgue work. With great reluctance, he was persuaded to repaint the Sistine Chapel after foundation repairs damaged the artwork that was originally there. The chapel's ceiling features several scenes from Genesis. Really Several scenes from Genesis include his most iconic painting, The Creation of Adam, considered by many to be the most iconic painting from the Italian Renaissance. Many people think that Michelangelo painted the whole chapel himself, and if we're talking the ceiling, that's true, but most of the rest of the chapel, with the very notable exception of Michelangelo's Last Judgment, features art from other icons of the area, including a series of tapestries by Of the four, Raphael's career was by and far the shortest, as he died when he was 37. The others working well into their 60s and 70s. Despite this tragically short career, he had an intensely influential body of work. We can say with the cartoons of Raphael, no, that's what the Sistine Chapel tapestries are known as. These series of tapestries were commissioned by Pope Leo X, who was, of course, he was a Medici. Some say that his art rivaled Michelangelo's ceiling, and the tapestries are still brought out on special occasions. His other great work was what would be referred to as the Raphael Rooms. Currently located in the Vatican, this is a series of 4 rooms featuring massive frescoes by the master himself. Of particular note, this is the cover of Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion albums. Wait, that can't be right. Oh my gosh, it is right. The 2 figures on the album cover are part of one of Raphael's greatest works, the School of Athens. The subject of the painting was in homage to the great philosophers and scholars of ancient Greece, including Aristotle, Pythagoras, Epicurus, and Socrates. He even included a selfie of himself amongst the thinkers, as well as a couple of contemporaries depicted as famous philosophers like Michelangelo as Heraclitus, and the centerpiece of the painting, Plato, as portrayed by Yet the Medicis were the money behind the Renaissance. Leonardo da Vinci was the spirit. Not a single artist from the era was more recognizable body of work. His scientific journals have inspired generations of scientists, inventors, and biologists to discover and create things unthought of before. His knowledge of anatomy was unmatched at the time, and his drawings helped teach mechanics of movement. His journals were unpublished, but had they been the advances in science at the time, would be hard to fathom. He wrote in mirror image cursive with his offhand. I can barely print left to right with my dominant hand. And as an artist, who doesn't recognize the Mona Lisa? The Lord's Supper? The Vitruvian Man? His painting, Salvator Mundi, holds a world record for the highest price ever fetched for a painting at an auction for the low price of $450.3 million, shattering the previous record of $300 million. Hope they had a coupon. This doesn't scratch the surface of Leonardo da Vinci, or really even the other 3. Scholars have decided their lives to studying any one of these Renaissance men, and have found that the more they learn, they don't know. 4. Learning is the only thing that never exhausts, never fears, and never regrets. School is weird now. For some of us, it's in a classroom with a small handful of students watching their teacher try to simultaneously teach some kids who are at home watching on Zoom. For others, they now spend their days with a parent guiding their studies, hoping that they are doing a good enough job to prepare us for the world. It's different than it was a year ago. I'm not going to say it's better or worse, just different. Regardless of what your classroom looks like now, or even if you are no longer in school, but learning life by experiencing it, this message is the same. Find your passion. Find it and absorb it. Read every book you can find on the subjects you love. Watch experts speak on your passion and learn even more. Talk to people who share your passions and learn from each other. Let's bring back the spirit of learning that Raphael intended by painting about in the School of Athens. Do you love comedy? Study the masters and learn what makes people laugh? Does your best friend have 4 legs and loves to play fetch? grab a copy of Bones Would Rain from the Sky by Susan Clother. I'll put a link in the description. Are you like me? Do you love history and the stories of where we came from and how we got here? Then please hit that subscribe button so that we can continue to learn together. In fact, tell me something I don't know in the comment section. I'd love to learn from you. Yeah, you. Just keep it civil this time, guys. Okay? You've been watching History Hound. I'll see you in history.